Hello, and welcome to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
How you doing?
Welcome to Communication Skills 101 with Sad Dads Podcast. I'm Lord Foo.
And I'm Jim. And what are we at?
132.
Are we at 132? Episode 132?
Right.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
That'll be an awkward transition because we came straight into that. I'll have to
Yeah.
It'll be more like blending right into this part, this word.
Yeah.
So we were talking about communication stuff.
Yeah, prior to this opening of the show.
And something that I've identified that's different in how I handle like conflict with the kids, like in conversational conflict, is that I will approach it almost bluntly. I've never done the thing where we were talking about the brick wall. Like I'll just repeat the same statement until you stop because this isn't up for debate.
Well, this is what I was saying is it's very difficult to be that
right, absolutely, because you as a parent or a spouse partner, you have a perspective.
Well, and
you're trying to
your emotional state kicks in to a certain extent.
Yes,
and your things kick in, but from a standpoint of, so we're talking about like shutting down a conversation that
you don't want to be a part of,
or
you're disengaged from.
Yeah, so in this case, we were saying, okay, so say if you asked your child to clean their room and they gave you a bunch of lip service,
right?
And if you engage with other banter back,
right,
that isn't.
If you open yourself up to listen to whatever their grievance is or their excuse is, that does nothing but exacerbate the conversation when the ultimate goal is something very simple.
It's a typhoon of conversation.
Clean your room.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you afford them wiggle room, the conversation spools out.
Right.
And as someone that handles a lot of and sees the conversation differences between the kids and Venus and the kids and me, I think I've said a number of times on the show, Venus and Piper have a fantastic relationship.
Right.
But when either of them are agitated about something, and I swear to God, I think they go looking to each other to pick a fight without subconsciously knowing that they're trying to pick a fight, they will feed off each other. They will give each other those footholds and grab holds to absolutely just like it's a cat fight between those two. Like, and it's like I'll walk into it, be like, World
War III just started.
Yeah. Why did it get this far?
Right.
Did you ask her to do something? Yes or no? Yes. Is she doing it? No. She needs to. You're the parent. That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Or if either of you, does she have a point? Yes. Are you listening to that point, or are you just like steamrolling her because you think you're on the power trip? No. I mean, those have gone either way a number of times. Ultimately, it's that they start like a perpetual argument that has no end until a third party comes in. I'm just here to get fucking water. And holy shit. Right?
Yeah.
It's, okay. Even I've had,
You got your hockey gear on?
I've entertained myself enough in the peanut gallery to like, oh shit, wow, that was a good one. That was a zinger. Okay, I'm done. I'm over with. Now it's starting to get
popcorn.
Yeah,
out.
now it's getting brutal. Okay, there's blood somewhere. This is getting bad. And then I'll,
Yeah.
But a lot of, if it's not clear
Direct.
and concise,
Mm-hmm.
this is my message. This is what I asked you to do. This is what I wanted you to do. This is what I expected of you. Repeat.
Right.
You will never get out of that space.
Yeah, that was one of the things Shannon and I took a class. It was a free class offered by the school district or something.
Really?
And it was called Love and Logic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fascinating. And it was all about how to like parent kids. I mean, to a certain extent. And all of it made sense. I mean, love and logic. It was very logical stuff. And I feel like I would have been better with the things that they taught you had I taken the course a couple of times. Because it's easy to sit in the class and be like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to do that.
Right.
That works. I get it. That makes sense. But if you don't, it's one of those things, if it's like language, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. You know what I mean?
I think you nailed that one. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and I feel like it definitely worked.
Well, and then you have perspective like mine, which is, I'm sure that there are a number of conversations where I would have a perspective, but my social anxiety kicks in, so nothing gets said at all, and I'll get steamrolled. Yeah. It's like, I don't know these people, and I'm uncomfortable with whatever they're talking about. But someone's clearly wrong here, and it's not me. But I don't want to get into this, and so it just looks like I'm a passive participant.
I totally get that.
So it's like there's a skill set in this house. I have my conversational and engagement skill set is much better than it is effectively in public.
Well, you look at it as if it's more valued because you're 1/4 of a household,
right?
And these are your people. Versus being out somewhere with a bunch of people that you sort of know, maybe or maybe not.
Yeah, and standing in line at the grocery thing, and some dude doesn't have a mask on. It's like,
yeah, I'm not happy about what I'm seeing, but I'm not going to say anything because it's not my place.
Right.
Yeah.
But it should be, but it's not, and I know how to properly have the conversation. But anxiety kicks in, and it's just like, I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
But there should be something to be said. It's very weird.
I think
it's hard.
Those kind of times, there's a pick your battle moment.
Absolutely.
Right. And some of that stuff isn't worth the battle picking, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you see, someone.
Can I kick this guy's ass if I tell him to wear a mask? Maybe. Nah, I'm not going to say anything.
I could totally beat up this guy. I'm going to say something.
I don't want to have to end this man's career in front of his son. So,
but there's it's hard to have that kind of conversation with your kids because to a certain extent, you don't want to feel like you're just shutting them down.
Right.
You don't want to make them feel invalidated or whatever, and that's not necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about, I've just asked you to do something, that there isn't an opinion there. It's just
right. Right. And that parent hat in conversational and engagement, in our house goes on and off like very quickly, almost in the same sentence a lot of times.
Right.
And that's not to say that I'm a taskmaster in the house like all the time. I try to almost keep things very open and very very high level so that it doesn't feel like almost like I'm here as your oppressor.
Right.
I'll be almost probably, and Venus may say, a little too frank about all of the perspectives that I may have, which may afford like I'm open to a whole bunch of things that I'm actually not open to. But I almost like to have those out there as like, hey, I see it from this perspective, and I see a lot of these options here, but I'm telling you, I'm going with this way. Partly because, I want you to come to me in other places and think of me as like a confidant. But in some instances where you get into something like the chores, or I feel like I'm the only one busting my ass in the yard or something, in those instances, the happy, friendly dad is backseat. Because there are times when the happy, friendly dad is...
Dad's getting short.
Yeah, has no business. Yeah. Listen, I have some expectations.
There's a means to an ends here.
Right. And
yeah.
bottom line. The hat of taskmaster versus, hey, I'm your buddy. Maybe we can come to some middle ground.
Well, there's also that saying, like, you're not their friend necessarily, that you're their parent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that only goes so far.
Right.
You know, I'll give you an example at my house, right? We live in a fairly smallish house. We've got basically 4 adults living in it. Since the 4 adults have started living in the house is not very well picked up. It's very frustrating for Shanna and I.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest offenders is my daughter, where she can go into the kitchen and do something great, which is feed the animals, the cat and the dog, right? But we'll leave all of the things that are required to
complete that task.
To make the meals for the animals get left on the countertop. Like the food container and the green beans for the dog or whatever it is, right? So these things just get left on the counter and not put back in the places where they belong. And this is part of the problem, is shit just gets pulled out and set somewhere, and then nobody deals with it because it's not mine, or I don't want to, I don't feel like it.
Or I did extra credit for part of it.
Yeah.
Someone can come maybe.
And so you go into the kitchen, and this is now half an hour later, to find these accoutrements out on the counter. And you're like, Melanie, you fed the dog, but you left all the stuff sitting around on the counter.
Right.
Like you were in here. And she's like, well, I am working on my Twitter account for my small business. That's how she would say it.
Right.
And it's like, how do you even have time right now to talk to me? I mean, you're working on your small business. But when you were in here feeding the dog, you weren't. And yet this stuff is still sitting on the counter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I get super frustrated with that, because you're just talking about excuse bullshit.
Right.
And I will make hardcore light of it as a sarcastic motherfucker.
Right.
Like, I'm going to throw some digs at you.
Yeah.
Because now you've thrown this bullshit excuse at me.
Right. Yeah.
That
here
makes
we go.
No sense whatsoever. There's no logic in what you've just said.
And does that, so quickly.
Yeah.
Does that, as the dad with the sarcastic jabs and the whatnots,
does it work?
Well, does it work? But that evolves once they've become right now? That she's an adult, and obviously we give Data tons of shit all the time.
Yeah,
but he's a man,
yeah.
and Mellie's a woman.
Yeah.
But your withholding of jabs, I would presume, was larger or more held back when
they were younger. Yeah, to a certain extent. I've always been fairly sarcastic.
Right.
But I mean, I'm not pulling any punches now. It's
right.
Like,
that makes sense.
We're roommates. Like you've moved out,
and you're an adult,
and you've moved in, and you're occupying now a space in my room. I mean, it's your bedroom, and we didn't expect you to not live here.
Right.
But at the same time, like, is this how you behaved when you had roommates?
Right.
Like, you left all of your Etsy shit around the apartment? Or did you clean up after yourself because you had 3 roommates? Well, guess what? In this house, you also have. Does she have
an answer for that? Like, did she, or is it different because she's home?
It's just different because this is home, right?
Interesting.
In her mind, anyway.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, I don't know. You never get the good answer. You never get what you expect to.
Right.
But it's one of those things that super frustrates me. She has been on have you heard of Squishimals? I always joke and call them pillow pets. But there's stuffed animals.
Squishmallows.
Squishmallows, yes.
Marshmallows, but a squishy pet.
Yes. So
squishy stuffed animal. Yes.
Melanie is currently
collector.
Yes.
Like the Beanie Babies were.
Oh, yes. She is balls deep in that shit.
Wow, really?
It's crazy.
Now, there are different sizes. Is it the smaller ones or the biggie guys?
Yes.
Oh, all of them.
Oh, yes.
She's a squishmallow-fanatic.
Yeah.
Fanatic.
But what'll happen is
Hashtag trademark.
she'll go, quote, squish hunting.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, this is where we're at. She'll go squish hunting.
Squish hunting.
And she'll
Sounds like me in my late teens.
Squishing, huh?
Yeah.
She'll go squish hunting, and she'll come home with her squish haul in bags.
Squish vernacular.
Yeah, and she's excited, and that's great that you're excited about it, right?
Yeah.
It's a fucking pandemic, so get excited about something.
It's better than cocaine.
But you take them out of the bag to show everybody, and you're excited. Look how cute this motherfucker is. And that's cool. And they all come out of the bag, and they get shown. But then guess what happens to the bag?
Oh.
It stays right there on the floor
or exited
wherever that. And I mean, now I just fucking wait. Like, how long is the bag going to sit on the floor? And who is the asshole that's going to pick up after some other asshole? You know what I mean? That's where I'm at. It's just like, fuck it. I'm just going to leave that there. Chandler leaves Monster Energy drink cans and shit out on the front little shelf.
Yeah.
I'm not picking them up. I'm done picking them up. And in fact, stuff around the house, I will now, instead of just picking it up and dealing with it, it will just get picked up and then set on their bed. That's what I've been doing.
That's where I would go almost immediately.
Here's a pile of your shit that has been sitting on the corner of the counter for 3 weeks.
Set it on the bed.
And I'm just going to put it on the bed.
Yeah.
So
I've done that. Like something left somewhere in our house, I'll set it in front of the kid's door or just inside the kid's door.
Yeah.
Without saying a thing. Because if I had to get that far, you need to fucking read between the lines as to what this means, that I had to carry it all the way here and I left it in your way.
Now,
that means handle your shit.
Data's at work for whatever the company's 45th birthday or whatever it was. They gave gifts to everybody, which was kind of neat. And so they drove through the office area and someone pulled a prize out of a hat for them, and he won some pans. So they gave him a couple real nice Calphalon pans.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And the pans came home, and he was so excited. They came out of the Calphalon packaging, the new, and the pans just got put on the fucking table. And then the package.
Me something, Dad.
Guess what? The package didn't make it into the trash can. No, it just got put over on the side for somebody else to deal with. So the shit got just put on his bed because it was like, we don't have room on the kitchen table for this shit. Then, like 2 days later, the pans just show up back on the fucking table again. I'm like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to deal with it, or I'm just going to fucking start cooking with these motherfuckers. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now they're just going to be
Now they're
mine.
my pan.
Yeah. Are you saying you don't want them because
they keep making it out to my space?
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Daddy's going to acquire some pans.
So I think what I'm getting at is I feel like I need better tools. I need better tools on how to deal with some of this kind of stuff that's frustrating for myself and for my wife.
Yeah.
Whereas tend to be a little bit more vocal, expressing my frustration than my wife will.
Yeah.
My wife will, and we'll sort of both have our own like heat of the moment type of thing. I feel like I do that more often.
We have those.
Yeah.
Like there are certainly like where I'll hit like a long day, frustrating day or frustrating week and go into the weekend. And I'm notorious for lists because I have so many things. If I don't get them down, I tend to like forget maybe low-hanging fruit. So I'm notorious for lists. So if I get like a passion moment where I'm outside, it's been a bear of a week, and I'm solo, like I'll hit like a passion moment where I'll come in the house, do like a heavy stepped one pass to see where the fuck everyone is, and then just be like,
start smacking shit.
Kong.
Sorry, that was a mosquito.
Where was it? I didn't see.
It was like right around.
Oh.
It's gone now.
I thought you were like, you're cuckoo, dude. I get it.
Welcome to springtime in Roseville.
There was no. Oh, it was windy yesterday. That's why. There was no mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And I'll hit like one of those passion moments, and I'll just be like, and I think they'll read it.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes will tell them, oh, I got to get outside. But there are the other ones. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll come in and I'll start killing bitches with my eyes. They know.
You just like lean on the bar and do this?
Venus will be looking at something like at Old Navy, and I'll come in, like, shut the door, grab a glass of water, look around.
Oh.
Drink the water, walk outside, and like, I don't know, you probably set a timer like 5 minutes. Someone comes out putting shoes on, like, how can I help, Dad? And I'll be like, yeah.
I'm going to stop twitching now.
But then there are the other
Steve
times.
Banner, chill out, dude.
Right, where I'll have, it's almost like a State of the Union thing, where I'll come out and I'll say, listen, it's been a rough X year, months, whatever, and I'll say, you know, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I think we had one specifically when we were dealing with Armageddon. It's like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
You guys have chores. Your mom isn't making runs for errands because we're in a pandemic. Like, there should be some extra time here. Not getting help, and my tone and carry is not the passionate me or killing people with my eyes. It's like
a plea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I need help.
Yeah.
We need help, and I'll be dead ass honest about a whole bunch of stuff. Like, Xander, there's too much time on stuff, and I'm out of time to police you in a way that is making sure that at least whatever it is educational. You need to walk back your time before this becomes a problem. His grades are fine, so it makes it hard to walk the line of like, well, you're done, and you've put tons of time into school, and you're doing well in school, so But he knows there are chores to do, feeding the dogs in the morning, in the evening, making sure the water, cleaning your room, doing your laundry. Low-hanging fruit that at this point should be all well understood. I keep seeming to have these like come to Jesus, State of the Union household things. It's like,
yeah.
I think the last one, I basically said, you're 13, you're 16. This is getting old to me, because now it's like you were adolescent,
right?
You know
better.
You should at this point you should know better.
Yeah,
you are of age to where you should be able to legally drive a car on the roads with
and have a job,
right?
Yeah,
and you are not that far behind. So the excuse of I forgot or I didn't know or not having the initiative to do these things that I have had to have this conversation almost every quarter, fiscal quarter for the last 2 years, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I think having those conversations, like just laying it out, I'm still chasing my tail on some of them, but I don't get as much, because I think it's not a shock. The conversations are never a shock. Like, here are my expectations. No one's going, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
Now it's, I'm going to start holding you to this.
Oh,
damn.
Now.
Yeah. I'm holding you to this now.
Yeah.
This is where the shit's in the way. And what's weird is both of the kids in my house are almost, like, I don't get pushback from Xander. My problem-solving thing with Xander is that he doesn't have initiative. Like, he knows these things are out there, and if he feels like it, he'll do some of them. And if I point them out to him, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah,
he'll do it
motivationally. Just if he's on his own,
he'll tie himself up with his own personal tasks,
right,
that don't involve supporting the household. It's a little different bit of a problem with Piper, because Piper her schooling is more of a time sink and has higher deliverables. So her chores and motivation to do things outside of that has a limited window of availability. So it's like I don't have that same kind of problem with her. But I'm starting to see that's evolving closer to Xander as the closer she gets to senior year in high school. I see she is starting, as we wind down the pandemic as well, like, oh, I want to do this on the weekend with Nick, or I want to do this with that. So she's of the age where the escaping the house, she's losing her I'm losing free time to do things in the house to support the household.
Yeah.
I'm losing that because she is starting to become a young adult and wanting to spend social time with others.
Yeah, we that's happened already with Chandler, for instance. I mean, he's gone a lot. And it's not just work, it's social stuff
time,
and his girlfriend and things like that. But looking back at the Melanie situation, the example I gave with the dog food.
Yeah.
The image in my mind that's somewhat comical is her feeding the dogs and literally being like, I'm working, and then just dropping all the shit in like Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Working.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just kind of comical in the sense that, like, well, I'm working on Twitter for my small business, and it's like, where you go instantly from
did that happen the minute?
Yeah, you put the bowl down and went, Twitter. You know what I mean?
Someone flipped the small business switch, and all of a sudden, how to work the can opener was irrelevant. I can only do the Twitter-nating.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just in my mind, it's very comical. Like, okay, this is the excuse you're going to use.
Yeah,
you know, that 12 seconds it was going to take to put the shit away was just way too much for you to not do.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I wanted to bring up something this is something that we started to do at the beginning of the pandemic and didn't get to. Part of it was because Melanie had like moved back home a little bit.
So you're not going to ask me who wins, King Kong or Godzilla?
No. But it was the whole Marvel
boy.
world movie.
Here we go. Yeah. So, I am your Marvel comic escort.
Well, I know this, and that's why you got messages from me, what was it, last night or the night before?
Yes.
Yeah. But it's interesting to me. My wife has never been a person that is interested in any of the Marvel stuff. Like the whole...
And even when we've covered it here, probably early show days with when Datas was here, both of you were like, I've caught a couple, maybe, but they're out of order or something that tickled your fancy because you were killing time or something.
Yeah, I mean, caught one here or there, whatever it was, you know, out of just
So Shan
interest.
Is same boat-ish.
Oh, she has...
now,
yeah. Oh, Shan was like probably even further behind what Chandler and I would have been.
Okay.
No interest really whatsoever. But we started it up. There was interest at the beginning, but it sort of waned, and then stuff happened, and we never got back to it. But in the last couple of weeks, we have been watching about a movie a day. So at night before bed, we'll like plop in a movie, and we're doing the cinematic series.
Phase 1, Phase 2?
No, not the phases, but the cinematic timeline.
Okay.
Is I think the one that's listed.
Like how it lists it in Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's Phase 1, Phase 2, and there's one that I think it's just the cinematic timeline, and it has all the movies listed
in a
out.
sequence, how they would have played. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I've always brought up.
Yes.
Was like, how do I know how to fucking watch these movies? And what order?
My dad has asked the same thing.
It's very hard to know that stuff if you're not into the world, right? If you're not into that universe, you have there's no real thing that tells you how to do that.
Right.
But the way Disney's laid those out, really well done. Bravo. Thank you.
Right.
Actually. And the girls... Chandler's not watching it with us, but the girls are into it. I mean, I'm amazed actually. Like, I think it might be
there's some hotties in there.
Well,
Sebastian Stan's
I don't even know if that's it or not. Maybe. I think it might be the Pfizer vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
Is modifying their genetics
so that they enjoy the Marvels.
Yeah. They're turning into.
I didn't even know that was the joke I think Venus had pointed it out.
Yeah.
I read that in Discord, and I kind of just like something Pfizer, Marvel, blah, 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 and it totally absent-mindedly.
Right over your head.
I meant I don't know what the joke is.
What the fuck is he
and
talking about?
I moved on, and it wasn't until maybe a couple days later Venus goes, "So is Shan's into Marvel now?" And I went, "I don't know why. What are you talking about?" She's like, "Jim said that Shan's getting real into Marvel."
Yeah.
And I went, "Well, where did he tell you that?" She's like, "In Discord." It was like the one time
that you didn't
she
really
was
pay
paying attention to Discord. It's like the one time a month she checks it. She saw a relevant message that I totally just
blew over
like fucking what? Marvel, Pfizer vaccine. I just thought it was like a 5G Bill Gates joke.
Oh,
and
I mean, it kind of
went,
is. That's what it is. Because the joke is that it modifies your genetics.
Right.
Right. So I think
you
it
guys
actually
are
is.
Watching it in order.
Yeah, and we watched Black Panther last night. That's where we're at. So we're not very far from the cinematic. We're only like 4 or 5 movies or so away from the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
So then we'll start looking at the other things. But man, it's super good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very
story.
diverse too. Like as far as like what parts of the world they're hitting, and it's not just like Russians versus Americans. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's like I get all tied up in the Civil War movie where they're like fighting each other, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You're on the same team, man.
Yeah. I asked Xander, so the question that you had asked the other night, which was why, do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was, why does
Cap and Falcon defend Bucky?
Yes. And is it just because they were friends? Like, is that the whole
so I'd
purpose?
asked that to Xander just to see
how,
if he would give roughly the same answer that I had given you, and that was that Cap and Bucky are brothers essentially, like
because they grew up together,
right?
I guess.
And Cap's nature as a person and the type of character that he's written to be, it has like hope and faith in the good of every person. And
well, they turned him into a damn monster,
right? And they turned Bucky into into Winter Soldier. So, and then when Cap gets through to him at the end of Winter Soldier, the movie Winter Soldier, and he's saved by Bucky. I think that's his like grab hold, like, see,
you are the guy.
I told you, I knew you were. It was just I had to remind you.
Yeah.
So he goes into the next sequences of movies, particularly Civil War.
He showed up at the end of Black Panther.
Right.
Which, like, they just teased it. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing, because now we're watching fucking credits because they got all the shit at the end.
Yeah, there's hidden stuff at the...
Yeah, and, like, that there's stuff in the credits. When the credits don't shrink down to the little box, if they're full screen... Something's happening.
There's stuff at the end.
Yeah. So we're watching for the credit. We're watching the credits for all these like chunks, and all of a sudden Bucky's in like whatever the name of this
Wakanda.
Yeah, Wakanda, and it's like we're all like what? And that's where we're at, right? That's what I'm saying is like everyone's like what? So
yeah,
what?
Wow. Yeah.
And I think it might even be better. Watching them in a series like this because it feels more like a television series to a certain extent with really long shows.
Oh, yeah.
But you're like, you catch the tidbits of like, like 3 movies in after New York, and there are little mentions about, after New York, and you're like, I just watched that. I know what he's talking about. You don't forget all the stuff. It's still fresh in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you can see how hard and how much effort they put into tying that weaving all of those stories and characters together. Some of them are pretty isolated, but they give you tie-ins to every it's really well done.
Yeah.
Like you had to be thinking pretty far ahead to afford some of the tie-ins that they did. They didn't get it 100% right. They had to do some course corrections with the Infinity Stones along the way. I think particularly with Guardians of the Galaxy, they had to change a color of a stone or call it something different.
Oh.
But
okay.
The amount outside of some little minor nuances, the way that it's told weaves together real tightly.
It seems to. It's super fascinating, and it's like it's interesting to think that like most of that comes out of like the mind of Stan Lee to a certain extent. I mean, obviously he's gone now, but there are certainly helpers for him to make sure that all the stuff is coalesced properly.
Yeah.
But man, what a interesting series. And it's not, I think what kind of does it for Shanna is that it's like, well, none of this is really real. And so to that extent, it's like it makes it more entertainment. Yeah, more entertainment based than it would be as if it was trying to be like, some movie about soldiers in Afghanistan or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's some degree of the entertainment aspect, plus the amount of funny shit that they put in the movies helps probably as well. But man, that's fun. That's fun to get. Yeah. I'm excited to get through the rest of the movies.
I had asked, and so when I posed the question to Xander, I said he had got the part between Bucky and Cap, and then so I said, so why does Falcon then believe about Bucky being good? And he got it close, but he essentially because Falcon trusts Cap. I said, yeah, essentially
because they were they met. They were like boys, and
Falcon can see the kind of person that Steve is based off of Steve's experiences.
Yeah,
that Falcon trusts Steve implicitly. So if Steve says that's a good man, Falcon's ride or die 100%.
Yeah,
that's just how it'll work.
Hey, I just want to see more Ant-Man movies. That's all.
So have you seen both? Isn't in the sequence?
We haven't seen the second one yet. We just watched the first one.
They're all really good. I love.
It's the second one, Ant-Man and
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
The Wasp, yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that one yet.
Get their own.
Yeah. That's the daughter, right?
That one's no. Oh yes, Hope.
Yeah.
Hope. The daughter.
The daughter of the
Pym.
Doctor
Hank Pym.
Yeah, Pym.
Yeah, Hope Pym.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny.
I just think
that's
that
good stuff.
I love Paul Rudd as an actor, and he just adds a lot to the
Ant-Mans and the Spider-Mans are uniquely funnier and also like adult humor and funny than I think the other superhero versions. Like obviously Black Panther is a very meta type of racism thing going on there, and oppression. And Thor is its own. Ragnarok is its own thing. I think Ragnarok is closer to the funny ha-has of the Ant-Man and the Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
They're much more fun and entertainment. Then you start getting like even more cool cinematic comic fun, not funny, but weighty in like the Avengers,
the Iron Man,
the Ultron, and then the two Infinity movies are a little bit more entertaining, popcorny, not as much Ant-Man humor, slapsticky.
Yeah.
So they cover a spectrum of entertainment. It's all kinds of good.
Yeah.
All kinds of good.
Anyway, yeah, I'm glad we're watching it. It's it's sort of like one of those things where it's like I think about it, I thought about it over the years, like I'll get to it, you know, and just being home and having the ability to like, other people are interested in actually watching this stuff. Okay, let's do it.
So are you then gonna hold off because we just got into the Falcon and Winter Soldier series
right
on Disney. So are you going to hold off until you finish this cinematic sequencing?
No, I think we'll finish the cinematic sequencing and then go back and because I think because
you probably already went outside the lines with WandaVision.
We watched WandaVision. There were other movies that we had seen already, like Iron Man and Iron Man 2, and I think even Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
A couple others that, I mean, Melanie had seen some on her own.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen some stuff. Shan hadn't seen most of it. So, it's like we've already wandered outside the lines, but at least we have a basis and an understanding. Right. And I think once you have that sort of timeline laid out, you can kind of pick up the other sort of pieces around the edge and fill in. And I think that will be, I think just having the knowledge of where everything comes from. Because I remember picking your brain and you were like, oh, well, Vision came from blah. And, I mean,
right. It's
all this
hard
stuff,
for me to know
Yes. Because know all of it.
Right. So,
but it's like, so I have the sort of like the groundwork's laid out.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get through the cinematic series, once that groundwork's laid out, then you have an understanding of the stuff to fill in after. So that's kind of where we're at. So fun stuff.
Yeah, so I missed it. Have you watched the Falcon and Winter Soldier yet?
No. That's I think the last one in the cinematic series. So I think we're like 4.
No, that's the.
Falcon?
This is the series that just came out. It's not a movie.
Oh,
it's a WandaVision thing. There's 6 episodes.
I think it's at the very end of the series that we're watching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they tacked
There
it
isn't
on.
a movie, right?
No,
yeah,
but
that's at the very end.
We're at 2 episodes of the 6.
Because WandaVision is actually part of the series that we're watching.
Does this? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that works out.
Yeah, and we had just finished WandaVision because we didn't know. I had no idea when we started watching WandaVision that it was a Marvel series. I didn't have any idea. We just started watching it. It's like, oh, this is interesting, and then we're like, this is fucking weird. What's happening? I don't really get it. And and I kept going because I didn't even know who Vision was. And I'm like, what's the deal with his face? Why is it red sometimes? And then sometimes he's like a real dude. And I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until it was halfway through the series, oh, this is like a Marvel thing. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I had no clue. See, that's how dumb I am when it comes to this stuff.
So it'll be interesting that, like you're saying, you will have a foundation because there are inside jokes in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series that have already popped up that are direct references to some of the earlier movies. So you'll pick up a couple of he made a joke about his Wakanda thing, haha, and then you'll get that. Whereas otherwise you might be like,
it would just go over your head.
What does that
sure.
mean? I don't understand. They're flying around.
It would just be well, if you would just watched a movie one of the movies on its own. I want to say Avengers after Avengers when New York happens.
Mm-hmm.
In other movies, after that, they talk about the stuff that happened in New York.
Right.
Well, if you hadn't seen Avengers when they have the big scene in New York,
specifically Iron Man 3, he has a PTSD thing.
Yeah.
Where he's referencing New York. If you hadn't seen it, you might just be like, well, why?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. The whole watching it in the series like that
helps fill in some of those nuances and references.
And WandaVision being part of the series also, and even though we had just seen it, there were things that happened in WandaVision I had no idea about. And then as we're watching the series, kind of going back in time in the timeline, and when you hear him talking to Jarvis, it's like, oh, that's Vision's voice. I fucking get it, dude. It's like so many light bulbs are going off. It's crazy. So fascinating stuff. And just being able to connect all the dots and not really having any fucking clue what I'm watching half the time.
Yeah. So have you seen because on the other side of the coin is the DC stuff. And they have a hard time. So essentially the producer that's running that whole Marvel tie-in stuff, Kevin Feige. Wait. Yeah.
The Marvel DC tie-in?
No, the Marvel universe as far as the movies and how they all loop together in form or fashion, like knit.
Right.
There's a guy who's essentially like orchestrating all of that. They don't really have that type of person
on the DC side. Yeah.
And that's why it's been
well,
some of the delivery of some of the movies and the tie-ins, people are just like, they've been through a number of Batmans. Depending on who you are, you may not like.
Well, isn't
Superman.
Spider-Man a DC guy?
Mm-mm.
Oh, is he Marvel?
He's Marvel.
I guess he is Marvel. You're right. But they have some tie-ins between DC and Marvel, right? Isn't there a DC Marvel?
Only in the comics.
Oh, just in the comics.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. There's like fucking multiverse garbage to Zuzus and Wham Whams, but they're separate by and large.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, they had recently the Snyder cut Justice League movie was a lot closer to what I had been expecting and been experiencing over on the Marvel side. But he had to get like fan protesting to get Warner Brothers to do that, and it took 4 hours to tell the story in a way that
made it work. Yeah.
So it's God. And
so that's what people want, because I never really understood not reading the comic books or following comic books really in any form or fashion. When you're talking about people who are unhappy with the DC comic side or the DC movie side that I sort of understand now. If the movies are super disjointed and don't really fit together,
right,
how that would frustrate the viewer.
Yeah,
because for me personally, like the whole Marvel setup, it's very purpose built. Like
exactly, yes,
and
yes,
they flow together, and that's kind of fucking brilliant. Like
and they wanted to. I think they wanted to try and do that with the DC stuff. It's just that it's the vision, whatever the vision is, and whoever's running the show, it just hasn't delivered in that way. Yeah. They have really good people playing really good characters. You know, Henry Cavill playing Superman. I really like. He's my favorite Superman. I thought his movie was Man of Steel was really good. Gal Gadot playing Wonder Woman. She's fucking amazing, and she's really nice to look at. Really nice to look at.
Well, don't you think that's part of the issue is that you have movies that were made years ago with other expectations?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But the Marvel one, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. playing the first Iron Man, that goes back 10 plus years. Easy.
Well, that's part of
it. But he had the intention of doing the whole story.
Yeah.
His end game was Avengers Endgame.
Well, I think that you have to. I think if you're going to build the DC side, if you're building the DC side and you want it to be a whole world, you have to have that foresight to like sign actors on. Look, here's the deal.
Right.
This is the intent, is to similar thing to the Marvel side.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be on,
right?
You know, you gotta be on board to do.
And I'm not sure why they've.
How many movies has he been in on the Marvel? There's countless movies.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
cameos and all kinds of other shit.
And they've done that too with the who is it? Is it Universal? Their monster. I mean, I made a joke about it earlier, but they did like a whole reboot of their monsters catalog, and that's where you get the couple Godzilla movies, the Mummy reboot. I don't remember who was in it. I think Tom Cruise was in that. And then the King Kong. There's been 2 Godzillas. At least one King Kong movie, and you've got the current one, which is Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah.
Those actually all tie together. Those tie together well. Different directors.
But they're those are a sub-series of
Yeah, it's much tinier.
Yeah.
They're working in a smaller window of time as far as delivery, and obviously, you don't have an actor playing King Kong or Godzilla, so you can stretch it out or rework it as needed to make the whole universe work together. But they are making that one works well for me. But goddamn, I just get so frustrated with DC because I want it to work. I love Supermans and Wonder Womans and Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
I don't even know that I've seen any of the DC movies at all.
They're good. They're not bad. They're not bad. I enjoy them. I enjoyed the Justice League movie that was 4 fucking hours long. I liked it. It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Do you have to be a fan? No. Would you be disappointed that it's not as cohesive as the Marvel one? That probably puts people off. Like, I have something to compare this to. Like cake and pie. Well, if the cake is really fucking good, but the pie is mediocre, you'd be like, I'll just keep eating cake. Why would I eat the pie? The cake is better. By far.
Probably too. Marvel's credit is being part of Disney.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, when we were at Disneyland the last time and you walk by and the Toy Story land is gone and they've got the Marvel walls up and you're like, oh, okay, it's Marvel. And at that time, it's like, I didn't really pay attention because I didn't really watch any of the movies with much excitement. I just kind of watched them.
Right.
But kind of watching them in the way that we're watching them now, like, oh, that could be kind of cool.
Well, you could tell as far as like an enterprise business perspective, that light is very much on at Disney because you can tell how the way that the Mandalorian series has played out in the 2 seasons, and then whatever the Disney thing was in fall where they announced the next set of streaming stuff, they have story spinoffs that are all relative to not all, but there's a number of spinoffs that are all coming out of the Mandalorian timeline and characters that have come in and out of that or introduced there to create a cohesive story experience for people throwing money at the screen.
Yeah.
I think that's just a better experience. It's like, oh, I was here for like our parents would be for the New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Those spanned a thing, but same characters told a story that was cohesive to each other.
Right.
Like, to experience that in the moment is different than I binge watched Lost. It's like waiting every Friday to watch the next episode of Lost is a different experience, and theory crafting with your friends than absolutely just binge watching all whatever fucking seasons there were of Lost. It's like, oh. Being a part of Mandalorian, the two seasons, and then seeing the whatever spins off fucking Ahsoka and who was the I think she's not anymore.
You're going to ask me, and I'm just going to look at you.
Gina
blankly.
Carano's thing for her bad politics. She's not going to get one.
No.
But she was going to be a part of another one.
Yeah.
So, bye.
That's a bad move.
Oops.
Yeah. Anyway, fascinating stuff.
Fascinating
If you're not into Marvel.
I even had that on my sheet of things.
I would say
I am the Marvel doctor. How can I help?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, it got brought up a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Mike's response is like, because that's how they make the movie. Otherwise, the movie can't happen.
Yeah.
That,
I was going to reach through and slap his ass. Yeah, hashtag.
Well, you have to have a story, Mike.
Yeah.
It can't be just like, well, they went to work and pulled some wires and now they're sitting on the couch at home. That's just not how movies work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be something else.
Like Iron Man 3. Like, there's like a comic book nerd thing. Like at the end of Iron Man 3, when all of his suits are flying around, there's like a slow fappage that goes on as like you're like, ooh, that one was in the comics, and that represents that, and there's like
now,
oh baby.
Speaking of that, all the
slow
stuff
fappage?
all the stuff happening.
Okay.
The one complaint I would have is and this is probably started around Transformers movies.
Okay.
Is a lot of the stuff that's CGI rendered effect stuff like that. The action sometimes can be so hard to follow. The quick cuts.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even know who's fighting who.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which character is the bad guy? Which is the good guy?
Yeah.
It's very, and this is something that I will be like, all right, pause it. What am I watching? Because
what happened here?
Yeah,
everything was,
and I can't imagine if I was in a theater watching it, I'd be like so confused.
Yeah,
because you can't pause that shit. You know what I mean?
Hey,
yeah.
Time out, bitch.
The projector lamp is burning the film. But, that's
Hello?
one of the big complaints I have is I understand the formula for an action film. I get it.
Yeah.
But when it is so much is happening in a single frame,
yeah,
in a scene, that so much is happening all at once, it can be very difficult to follow. Please make it a little bit easier.
It'll be a little bit less cluttered.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have to wear glasses to see your shit, it's too much. It's too much.
Do I have to buy a bigger TV to understand what's happening?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And now they're throwing in all kinds of like little Easter eggs. So there's like some guy on YouTube that watches episodes at like a quarter speed.
What?
Just so he can be like, here are the things you missed.
Oh my God.
I'm like, fuck, this is a thing.
So what they got?
There's a guy that's like, yeah, shit happens so fast, and there's so much that if he will watch it at a quarter speed just to be like.
He's all, by the way, there's hidden Mickeys.
Oh yeah, like, fucking what? Did you know? The amount of circles and gears in Jarvis's eye is directly correlated to the the gold sphere that represented him in the lab. You're like, bullshit. Oh yeah, it does.
I mean, is that for real, or is it just
the
like
quarter speed stuff?
No.
The Easter eggs.
No, I understand that, but the theory behind what they're seeing is that quantitative, or is it just like I just see a similar thing here?
Oh, I'm sure probably a lot of it's subjective.
Okay,
but in like WandaVision, it's not. WandaVision is one of those like high cerebral things where they actually it's not. There are comic book number references to the storyline that they've loosely worked the WandaVision series around. Like this happened in this comic book issue number, blah, 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 makes a number of representations in like the newspapers that they're reading. They put some serious shit into the WandaVision one, Easter eggs.
See, that's what keeps people coming back.
Absolutely.
Because when you have that attention to detail, that level of thought and process going into the things that you're putting out, it makes people who are fans, it makes them...
Yeah, I think it creates a special experience because you have, right? Even at this table, you have fans of differing spectrum for the same medium, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I don't really follow comics at all anymore.
You make fanatics out of fans is essentially what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You realize that they do this and that? It's like, I mean, you wouldn't have.
Right.
I mean, if that stuff wasn't there, then no one would get excited about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But there's a special thing for someone that's a fan of X that can reference like, oh, I have that comic, and I specifically in my mom's basement, I remember touching myself to that picture of her wearing that suit, which is a vintage, by the way, no camel toe. Like what?
In the original series, she wore a camel toe cup.
Yeah, that's a little bit extra, but That's why I own all the action figures. Like, okay, that's anyway.
Okay, so changing gears slightly.
Go.
I didn't even know this was a thing. I just found out about this week.
Okay.
Because this is how fucking stupid I am about shit.
Okay.
On the Switch, the whole amiibo thing, like, I didn't even know this was a thing.
Okay.
I mean, I knew, like, I see the amiibo. I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, what is this amiibo thing? Google it. Oh, damn. You can buy, like, Nintendo action figure shit that, like, scans or it's RFID or the cards.
Right.
And they have things that give you stuff in your games.
Yes.
Like, woo, I didn't even know this was.
Really?
Yeah.
So
no idea.
That's funny because for Venus and Piper, I figured this was in the little your bitches and switches hangout.
People might have talked about it, but again, it was one of the things where amiibo over the head.
They were trying to specifically customize the residents on their Animal Crossing island.
Okay.
And one of the way you can get those
customizations
is to buy a deck or card that you scan that will essentially force that person to arrive on your island or forcibly make them a resident. I can't remember. I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
Listen, if the time sync is put me off, I just can't. Anyway, outside of harassing Angie on her island and smacking her with a fucking net every once in a while,
right?
I'm out of it. But this was a thing that they legitimately wanted for Christmas that I had to buy packs of on Amazon to make sure that it included Hornsby. I think it was fucking Hornsby.
Oh my God.
They had to have Hornsby. He's so cute.
Oh my God.
He's special. We love Hornsby. So they got a pack of these amiibo cards that they could invite only the people that they wanted
over to be an islander.
Which I don't judge. Most.
I don't know how it works. I know that there are amiibos that you can buy that are for all the different games. Like I'm big time right now playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, still doing that.
Yes.
Lots of hours into it.
Yeah.
But there are Zelda Breath of the Wild amiibos.
I want to say Xander asked me to buy him one for that, but I don't remember what it did.
There's characters and I think also cards, but they're super hard to find. It's sort of like squishy hunting. From what I understand.
Because amiibo hunting?
I didn't know what it was. So like I said, I looked it up and it was like, okay. Oh, I see what they kind of get what you're doing here. And then it was like, buy some. And I'm like, okay. So then I go to the Nintendo page and they have them there.
Yeah.
And it's like, buy them at here or you can get them at, you got one right here again. I don't know. He disappeared. Or you can get them at Target. And I was like, oh, so I just kind of like mentioned it to Shanna and Melanie, and they're like, they have them at Target? They like fucking freaked out. Like they already knew what it was. And I'm like, I don't know. I just been playing and been fighting.
I'm going to make amiibo with a fucking Ganon. What's you're talking about?
Yeah, I'll just code one up real quick.
Yeah. I RFID scanned the fucking amiibos and I got gout. So I think it's broken. I think Xander did one for Super Smash Brothers for some reason or another. I don't remember what it was.
Well, that was, I think the reason why I even thought it was a big deal is because I've been looking at, sad to say it, because I feel like I should be able to figure some of the stuff out on my own. But sometimes that game is so goddamn deep. Like, I got to go to YouTube sometimes.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's no shame.
Like, I just spent 3 days looking for X, Y, or Z. You know what I mean? Like, fucking running around, getting my ass beat up all the time. I don't even know what.
Where are the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm done fucking looking. Where are the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's how I found out, because some of the videos that are on YouTube are like,
just scan the amiibo.
Well, no, they're like, this is the game without the amiibo, or now we're doing it with only amiibo. We're doing the whole Breath of the Wild with only amiibo. I'm like, what the fuck is amiibo?
Right.
And then it was like, what is an amiibo? I had no idea.
What are you getting in
I
the,
haven't
in,
bought any.
Yeah, but what are they offering?
think
Like swords
Weapons
and
armor. Yeah,
okay.
maybe. I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, I just know it's a thing. I just don't know what it does for me necessarily, I guess. I mean, I guess I'd have to do more research, but I kind of got that far and went,
really pay to win stuff, Jim. That's what it is. So that you can be super awesome, armored out, and you could just be like, I spent $19.95, and now I'm going to go kick Ganon's ass wearing titanium shit. Which is,
yeah.
You know.
I mean, I guess.
So fuck with me, bro.
Because that's what I was telling Shannon. I was like, well, I mean, it's not really part of the game. I mean, it is part of the game, but it's not part of the game.
Right. It's their way to microtransaction.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you want to buy
at
some more bombs?
$16.99
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. They're not fucking around.
No, not at all.
Sometimes you give them as Christmas gifts.
Well, I mentioned it to Mike, like one of the first things that I did that I probably made a mistake doing when I was trying to learn how to play Zelda and right at the beginning was I bought the expansion pack. And that added a shit ton more stuff. I had no idea what I was doing anyway. I was like, oh, well, while I'm here.
I'm employed. I have a job. I'm buying all the shit.
I mean, it's $20, right? Yeah, fine, buy it.
Yeah,
$20.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh, damn, I don't even know now I don't know what's part of the regular game versus what's part of the expansion pack.
I've made a serious mistake here.
Yeah, it gave me way more things to do, and I probably didn't need that at the beginning. You know?
Yeah. We're at time.
I bet.
Yeah. Not bad.
No?
106.
Well, you know.
Hey, amiibos do that to you.
Yeah, I mean, they make you want to wash your ass.
Return the cart.
Brush your teeth.
Wear your mask.
Get the shot.
Plus. I can't. Oh. Brush your teeth?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. What the fuck?
You just like went blank.
Yeah, like the fuck?
Yeah, do all those things.
Yeah, don't forget to masturbate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
We'll catch you next week.
Take it easy.
Bye.